Welcome back. We're diving into a position that is often overlooked but absolutely crucial, the goalkeepers. We're counting down the top 10 most expensive Arsenal goalkeepers of all time, from legendary shot stoppers to some, well, questionable investments. This list has it all. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Number 10, Jens Lehmann. Arsenal paid £1.5 million to sign Jens Lehmann from Borussia Dortmund in 2003. The German goalkeeper arrived with a big reputation, a World Cup finalist and a Champions League winner. Lehmann was seen as the top class to addition to Arsene Wenger's side, but little did anyone know Lehmann was going to add a whole new level of flair and occasional madness to the position. He may have been temperamental and unorthodox, but there's no denying that Lehmann was one of the best keepers in the Premier League during his time at Arsenal. And let's not forget he was part of one of the greatest defensive units in the Premier League history. In the end, Lehmann's time at Arsenal was defined by moments of brilliance, including that vital penalty save in the FA Cup against Manchester United, some questionable decisions, and a general air of chaos that left fans both thrilled and terrified at the same time. Lehmann might have not been the most calm and measured goalkeeper in the world, but he was undoubtedly one of the most memorable Arsenal has ever had. The madman of goalkeeping, Lehmann will always be remembered as a keeper who lived life on the edge and loved every minute of it. Lehmann was a goalkeeper who could keep you on the edge of your seat, never quite knowing whether he was going to make a world-class save or a questionable decision. But that's what made him so entertaining and so unforgettable. Number 9, David Ospina. In 2014, David Ospina joined Arsenal from Nice for around €4 million after a solid World Cup performance with Colombia. At the time, he wasn't exactly the most high-profile goalkeeper. He wasn't Petr Cech, he wasn't Manuel Neuer, and certainly wasn't the flamboyant Lehmann the fans were used to. David Ospina was a goalkeeper who didn't need to be the centre of attention. He just went about his job, quietly ensuring that the team remained solid at the back, even when Arsenal's defence wasn't always the most dependable. Calm under pressure, adapt with his feet, and mentally tough, Ospina was a goalkeeper who made a big impact without demanding the spotlight. He's remembered as a class act, a keeper who embodied the kind of quiet professionalism that made him a valuable part of the Arsenal squad. For those who have followed his time at the club, Ospina remains one of those underrated players whose influence was felt in the most suitable but crucial ways. And as he continued his career in Italy, Arsenal fans can look back at the time in North London with a nod of respect for a goalkeeper who gave it all without even needing to steal the show. Number 8, Lucas Fabianski. Fabianski joined Arsenal in 2007 from Legia Warsaw for a fee of around €4.35 million. Fabianski was always one of those players who left fans scratching their heads. He showed glimpses of greatness, but his consistency was what held him back from being the first choice keeper in the long run. However, his later career at Swansea and then at West Ham United proved that he had the talent to be the top flight keeper and that he wasn't the flappy keeper everyone made him out to be in his earlier years. At Arsenal, he really never got to show his true potential in the ways fans hoped. He was decent, but never became the star many thought he would be. That said, there's no denying that he gave his all when called upon and was part of the competitive Arsenal team in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Number 7, Manuel Almunia. Almunia's Arsenal career began in 2004 when he was brought in as a backup to Lehmann after arriving from Real Mallorca for a relatively modest fee of €5 million. At the time, he wasn't a big name that the other goalkeepers were, but Arsene Wenger saw potential in him, and Almunia was happy to bide his time learning the ropes under Lehmann. Almunia's legacy at Arsenal is one of frustration, potential, and what could have been. He was never the terrible goalkeeper that some made him out to be, but he was also never the world-class shot stopper that Arsenal fans dreamt of. He had moments of brilliance and was often unlucky to be in a time when Arsenal needed more consistency between the posts. In the grand scheme of things, Almunia's time at Arsenal was unfortunate. He had the ability to be a solid Premier League goalkeeper, but the inconsistency of his performances prevented him from becoming the keeper Arsenal fans could rely on week in and week out. Number 6, Matt Turner. The American goalkeeper who became a more recent addition to Arsenal's squad, arriving in the summer of 2022 from the New England Revolutions for a reported fee of $5.7 million. Not exactly the big name, high profile keeper that many might expect, but Turner's arrival represented a new direction for Arsenal's goalkeeper situation, and let's just say he quickly earned the Arsenal's fan base respect even if he isn't the flashiest of signings. Turner's early days at Arsenal were mostly spent in the background, appearing primarily in cup competitions like the FA Cup and Europa League. While he didn't have the spotlight like Ramsdale, Turner quickly showed that he was more than capable when called upon. His shot-stopping ability was solid, and while some fans may have feared that he'd be another backup keeper who didn't live up to the occasion, the following year Matt Turner will be sold to Nottingham Forest for 10 million in 2023. Number 5, Richard Wright. Wright was signed by Arsene Wenger in 2001 from Ipswich Town for a reported fee of 9 million, which at the time made him one of the most expensive goalkeepers in English football. He was brought in to challenge David Seaman, the legendary goalkeeper who had served as Arsenal's first choice for many years. Many fans expected big things from Wright. He had been a solid performer at Ipswich and even earned an England call-up, so Wenger clearly saw potential in him. Wright's legacy at Arsenal isn't one that involves glorious saves or championship-winning performances. Instead, he's remembered as a backup who was brought in with high expectation but ultimately didn't find his place in the starting 11. Despite his limited appearances, he was always considered a reliable option for Wenger when needed. However, he never quite lived up to the hype of being a potential future star. In hindsight, Wright's time at Arsenal felt like a missed opportunity. A promising keeper who was ultimately overshadowed by Seaman's legendary status and the emergence of other young goalkeepers like Lehmann himself. It's one of those what could have been stories. If Wright had been in another team without a starting number 1 like Seaman ahead of him, who knows what could have happened. Still, while he may have not been the next big thing at Arsenal, Wright played an important role in providing depth and competition during his time at the club. He was a true professional, even if his story at Arsenal was more of a footnote rather than a headline. Number 4, Petr Cech. Cech made the move to Arsenal from Chelsea for 14 million in the summer of 2015. It was seen as one of the most significant transfers in the Premier League. Arsenal had been looking for a solid, dependable goalkeeper for years. In fact, it had become one of the most pressing needs, with Wojciech Szczesny and David Ospina not quite being able to provide the consistency needing to challenge for titles. Cech was brought in as the final piece of the puzzle, somebody who can bring in leadership, stability and winning mentality to the club. Petr Cech's legacy at Arsenal and his contribution should never be underestimated. He helped shore up a leaky defence, kept a solid number of clean sheets, and perhaps most importantly, brought the experience of winning that Arsenal so desperately needed. Though he didn't win the Premier League with Arsenal, he certainly helped elevate the team to consistent top 4 finishes during his tenure and was instrumental in securing an FA Cup victory in 2017. His calm leadership, ability to organise the defence, and a vast experience in big matches were vital during an era where Arsenal were transitioning and struggling to get back to the top. In the end, Cech's time at Arsenal can be seen as the bridge between the past glory days and a new era under Mikel Arteta. Number 3, Bernd Leno. Signed from Bayern Leverkusen for a reported 22.5 million, Leno quickly became a central figure in the squad, but his journey at Arsenal was far from smooth sailing. Leno's legacy at Arsenal is that of a solid keeper who wasn't quite at the level of the elite keepers in the Premier League, but he was certainly one of the better mid-tier goalkeepers the club has had in recent years. He may not have had the star power of Petr Cech or the imposing presence of some top tier goalkeepers, but Leno was reliable, dependable in key moments, and certainly never the reason for Arsenal's struggles. Ultimately, Leno was a goalkeeper who served Arsenal through a transitional period, and although he may not have won any major trophies during his time at the club, he was instrumental in keeping them competitive in the league and solidifying the foundation for future successes. Number 2, Aaron Ramsdale. Aaron Ramsdale came to Arsenal in 2021 and changed the vibe of the club's defence. Signed from Sheffield United for a reported 24 million, Ramsdale's arrival raised a few eyebrows. At the time, he was seen as an interesting but somewhat risky signing, given that he had faced relegation with Sheffield United the previous season. However, fast forward to today, and Ramsdale has completely won over the Arsenal fanbase with his energy, charisma, and some genuinely world-class performances. But unfortunately, Ramsdale lost the battle of the starting goalkeeper to David Raya and was sold to Southampton for a reported fee of 25 million. The Arsenal supporters were split whether this was the right decision or not, but so far David Raya has been putting on a great performance for the Arsenal side. But let's never forget, Aaron Ramsdale came to Arsenal and did what he needed to do, and he proved himself to the fans, but unfortunately making mistakes and error will eventually cost you in the long run. But we should always remember Aaron Ramsdale as being a top and a fan-loved goalkeeper. Number 1, David Raya. When Raya's signing was announced, it caught a lot of Arsenal fans by surprise. At the time, Ramsdale had firmly established himself as the team's first choice keeper. Signing on a loan from Brentford in 2023 with a reported $3 million loan fee and an option to buy, this move had raised some eyebrows. Yet Mikel Arteta and the Arsenal board decided to bring in Raya as he was a ball-playing goalkeeper with an excellent shot-stopping abilities and a commanding presence, fitting into Arteta's style better than Ramsdale. In the following transfer window, a reported fee of $27 million for the Spanish goalkeeper would see him make a permanent move to the Arsenal after a solid season with the Gunners in a race for the title. Raya has been a great addition to the Arsenal squad, coming up in big crucial moments, and has solidified himself as the top keeper in the Premier League and has won the Arsenal fan base support. Hopefully his addition to the team will help the Gunners lift the Premier League trophy. Last thing I want to say is thank you for watching, and it would mean the world if you would subscribe, like and share the video. Check out the other videos on the channel, and thank you for watching.